Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Board of Directors meeting for the Amherst Card of Alaska Incorporated. Date is February 18th, 2018. This is the first meeting of this board. We have a bunch of new members, so we may be going over a few things here as we get everybody oriented. So let me see who we've got present here. I need to pull that agenda out so I can see it here. All right. So we've got the CEO is present. That's me. Secretary Treasurer. Amanda is here. Robert's here, I see. Hunter is here. James is here. And Garrett is here. All right, excellent. Nobody is absent, so we're going to call this meeting to order at 8:05 p.m. So we just have a few things to go through on the agenda here. Is there anybody that hasn't followed along with the board meetings that we've had, at least in the last 6 months, and isn't familiar with the processes that we use? We had a lot to talk about tonight in all of our meetings, so I don't want to waste much time. If you guys are all comfortable with that, we'll move on. Okay, I know you guys pay attention when you're not in office, so. So we have, everybody's seen the agenda. Does anybody have anything that needs to be added to the agenda?
Negative.
Okay, hearing none, we will vote to approve the agenda as it stands. And in simple votes like this, just remind everybody, I simply call for any opposition. If there is none, it passes. So is there any opposition to moving forward with the agenda as proposed? All right, hearing no opposition, we will move forward with the agenda. So the first thing we need to vote on, the Frozen Coast region, the Kenai region, has had a transition of its assistant treasurer, which is Prime Minister, and they've appointed a new one. And so in order to facilitate that, we need to remove the previous person from the bank account and then vote to add the new person to the bank account. So the first item on the agenda is to remove Anacia Hubler from the bank account. Is there anybody opposed to removing her from the bank account? All right, hearing no opposition, that motion will carry. And then the next one would be to add Jen Eady, who is just confirmed, correct, Amanda?
Correct.
Okay, so she was confirmed today to be the pro tem in that position. So we need to add her to the bank account so she can do her job. So is there any opposition to adding her to the Frozen Coast bank account? Okay. Hearing no opposition, that motion will carry as well. And now the only other business is the appointment of officers. So we have 3 different officers we're going to discuss tonight in order. We have Vice President, which we will accept nominations for and then have a vote. Secretary Treasurer would be Amanda, but we're going to formally acknowledge that. And then we have to decide whether or not the board needs a liaison, which is somebody to coordinate our activities with outside agencies. So for Vice President, do we have any nominations for the position of Vice President?
I'm going to go ahead and nominate Gideon of Ravenstone.
Okay, without a second, that won't carry.
I'll second that.
Okay. Are there any other nominations? All right, hearing no other nominations, we'll bring that to a vote. This will be a formal vote. So we'll vote north to south. So appointment of Gideon as the Vice President of the board. See, we don't have.
Does Gideon have a chance to accept that or not?
He does. Gideon, is that something you are not interested in doing?
No, I'll definitely jump in on it. I just didn't. I didn't want to jump in and nominate myself. You know.
No, that's totally fine. I mean, you're totally welcome to nominate yourself. There's no shame in that. It was a good point, Josh. Usually somebody will jump in and say, I don't want to do that. But so we'll start. Gideon, you get to vote first since you're the farthest north person here.
I'll do it. So I will vote yes.
Okay, so that's 1 in favor. Hunter.
Affirmative.
Okay. James.
Yes.
Amanda.
Yes.
Okay, and I will not oppose the board, so we are unanimous. Okay. So this is the next item on the agenda is just to formally introduce the new Secretary Treasurer to the board. That's Amanda Brooks, or Mara, and she is the new secretary as of the first weekend of February. So she's in her position now, and she'll be taking over all the stuff that Hadland was doing for the board. All right. And then the board has to decide whether or not we need a liaison. We didn't have one last time. That was, I think I fulfilled all of the duties for that. And the liaison's job is to just coordinate with like other kingdoms, non-AMPGuard entities, AMPGuard International, things like that. It's a pretty good set of duties for the CEO to take on. However, if a board had a CEO that wasn't super familiar with that or comfortable with it, then the board could absolutely appoint a liaison. So,
do you think you need a liaison? Would that be helpful with getting other things handled?
not really. I'm perfectly comfortable maintaining that. I just want to explain the position to the board so that when I'm no longer on the board, they don't think that the CEO has to do all of that stuff. But I'm pretty comfortable interfacing with the rest of AMPGuard and other outside agencies, unless somebody would
One
rather
question.
us have a separate liaison. Go ahead.
So last rain was pretty slow. So, but this rain, since it's going to be the summer rain, there's going to be a lot more going on.
Mhm.
Would a liaison help take a lot of what you already have to do, and a lot of the busyness that's already going to be around there? Would
No,
that
I
take
don't really.
some of that away?
I don't
Or would
really
it be
think
more of a
so.
hassle because it's another person in the mix?
I'll be honest. When I feel like it with what I'm trying to get done in the next 6 months, that if I have to funnel communications through somebody, that would probably cause more headache than doing all the communication myself. But it's up to the board to decide whether or not they want that position filled.
If it's not necessary to be fulfilled, then I don't think it needs to be filled in. So,
Okay. So since it was all
Is
right.
there anything that stops the position at some point in the future if they change their minds?
Yeah, I mean anybody can motion to appoint a liaison, and as long as somebody seconds it, we'll vote on it. Was that answer your question, Josh? A little bit of it got cut off there.
Oh yeah, no, that was absolutely perfect. Thanks.
Okay. Yep. Okay. So we'll just essentially table that until somebody decides to bring it up again. Okay. Those are all the items on the board agenda. So I will motion to end of the board meeting. Motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
I'll third it.
All right. Is anybody opposed to adjourning the board meeting? All right. Hearing no opposition, we will adjourn at 8:13. It's a record board meeting. Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. And so that would conclude, for those of you guys listening at home, the official board meeting. We will now move into a committee meeting, internally known as the Council of Crowns. So for these guys that are new to this process, the Council of Crowns is a committee that answers to the board. Even though many of the members are the same, that's just the way that process works. So give us a minute to transition over to the COC agenda. We have got, let's see. got Frozen Coast, Icefire Bay. And also have also the only person, also just for reference, the only person that's not officially on the Council of Crowns Committee that isn't also on the board would be the ex officio. However, Garrett, since you're here, I mean, as a member of the board, you're welcome to sit in on any committee meeting, whether you're appointed to it or not. Just as a member of the board, if you want to just sit in there, you're welcome to.
Roger that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And so for those of you guys who are, for those of you monarchs, that would also include literally any function of the organization, whether it be, you know, the GMR's meetings. If you want to sit in on those as a board member, you're welcome to. They might ask you to leave if they're discussing Reeves tests that you have to qualify for, but other than that, you're welcome to sit in and sort of see what's going on with the organization that you're legally responsible for. Okay, so we are going to call to order the Council of Crowns Committee meeting, February 18th, 2018. This will be the second committee meeting of this committee. So, again, you guys, most of you guys paid attention to the committee meetings we did the last 6 months, so you kind of know how I run the committee meetings. I do allow people to add things to the agenda. Generally, as long as 2 people want to talk about it, I think it's worth talking about. So, sort of the same process we use in the board meeting. If somebody brings it up and somebody seconds it, then we can vote on it or at least talk about it. I do all of my voting north to south just so that nobody can accuse us of doing something funny or weird. And that's pretty much that. So there is a new process that I'm introducing starting at this meeting that I'm going to carry forward for the next 6 months, and hope that the next council will continue to do it as well, or the next king or queen. And that is that we're going to start the meeting off with officer reports from the kingdom officers, so that the committee and the folks at home can have a regular accounting of what their kingdom officers and their councils are up to, so that they can be involved in those processes. Cool. All right. So that being said, is the Kingdom Regent ready to present his report?
Sure. Hi, my name's Minnie. I'm from Astral Winds. So we have been, we had one of the things that the Regents Council does is because we don't have a whole lot of park day responsibilities, the regents are the officers that I try to get to pay attention to what's going on at the park level. So everything from, did someone bring out a cool new pair of swords or whatever, just to like, how are people behaving on the field and whatever. And each weekend we do a post where all of the regents sort of give a report of like how things went that week. So we had one of those last week, and I believe all the regents reported, which was super duper awesome. We have, I am pretty sure at this point, nailed down the time that we're going to be having our weekly Regents Council meetings. It sounds like those are going to be Saturdays, I believe at 9, which is a bit late, but should work. And, sort of first order of business for the Regents Council is going to be making sure we have everything squared away for mid-reign, because boy, that creeps up on you real quick.
So are your meetings every week?
No, I'm sorry. For now, we're going to be doing them monthly, and we'll adjust that as necessary.
And are all your meetings already in the calendar?
No, we need to, I'm waiting to hear back from one person to say, yes, this is like perfectly fine with me. And then we'll probably have the next one, this coming Saturday on the 3rd. So it'll be the first Saturday of each month, but I'll get them on the calendar.
Okay.
once we have it.
And then those weekly activity reports that you're talking about, where do those end up at?
They're posted in the Regents Council Facebook group.
Do you guys think there'd be any value in having those open to the membership somehow?
You know, I mean, I worry about it because one of the points of it, and one of the things that's highlighted each time is kind of like awards recommendation. So it's kind of like a running like, oh, so and so brought out these really awesome, new short swords today, and I looked them up in New York, and they only have their first owl, so we should totally make sure we give this guy a second owl come mid reign. And so
Okay.
like that kind of conversation can happen. So that would be a concern, I guess.
Would it fit into your time resources for you as the Kingdom Regent to provide a global summary to the Kingdom page based on your council's reports?
Yeah, I mean, I could do that. I could
take
just
all the award stuff
make
out,
a point with some, right? Yeah, sterilize them a little bit, and then kind of post a summary.
yeah. I think that it would be really cool for all the regions or all the members across the kingdom to see what's going on in all of the other regions on a weekly basis.
Yeah, I worry that it would come across as being a little bit like Northreach newslettery, which I'm about newsletters, but I think it's definitely got value in giving it a shot. So I can totally commit to giving it a whirl, see how people feel about it.
Okay. I'd be okay, honestly, if they were even like twice a month.
I mean, I think that may work out okay because there are plenty of weeks where, one parks report might be like, it was fine.
Well, maybe if you start publishing what they give you, then that'll encourage them to give you more than that one sentence. Okay. Did you have anything else for us?
Nope. Sorry, that's it.
Okay. Next would be the Prime Minister. Mara, you got what we need?
Yeah, we had our first meeting yesterday. First meeting of my reign yesterday. We are introducing our new Prime Minister, Jen, for Frozen Coast, which she's already amazing and knows what she's doing. So that'll be a nice, easy transition. Right now, we're working on getting a recommendation for our audit process to the board of directors. So that should be coming together in the next week and over the board for review. Really want to get that together as quick as possible. We're also working on onboarding processes, setting up a more streamlined, getting new prime ministers into positions. And unlike many, I like newsletters. So we are working on a newsletter. I'm talking with a couple folks interested in heading up that project to send out reports on how our parks are doing attendance-wise, dues paid-wise, stuff like that. So,
how often are you planning on doing newsletters?
I would like to do them monthly and put them out at the same time I'm putting out my monthly Prime Minister report.
Okay. I wonder if there wouldn't be some value in you joining forces with the regents and maybe taking their information or taking that.
Thoughts exactly.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, Minnie, since you're still there, rather than you just pumping something out right away, why don't you and Mara discuss how you can best join forces to get your information into her newsletter?
You got it. That sounds awesome.
Okay, cool.
We are meeting twice a month on the first and third Saturday of every week. Yeah, words.
What time?
10 a.m.
10 a.m. Okay. All right, anything else?
That is what we're working on, other than paperwork.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. Champion, are you ready?
Is it,
Oh, yeah,
is
go
it
ahead.
appropriate to like ask questions? Is that a thing?
Sorry, say again.
Is it appropriate to like ask questions? Is that a thing? Are we allowed to, like, if we have a question for like the PM
Yeah, you're welcome
at
to.
this point?
Yeah, anybody can.
Okay.
That's what they're here for.
So we just make sure that everything was good to go for, and maybe I should have brought this up during the BOD meeting because technically it's a BOD concern. You know, I know I'm conducting the all thing, but you know, if there were any like, if the PMs had any like concerns or anything like that in terms of like dues paid members, or anything weird we need to know about going into this.
So going into, are you talking about the all thing you have coming up this weekend?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, and I should have been much more clear about that. The all thing that has been like called to appoint the monarch, essentially.
Yes. So I've got on the agenda here's our February all thing, which we would discuss all of that stuff. But if you're asking a question specifically for the Prime Minister, as in, do you have all the dues paid lists or regular member lists squared away? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I guess pretty much.
So, yeah, Mara, do you have all of that information handy? Like, are you able to provide that?
I do, and I have it all set. I was going to post it after the meeting tonight since it was
That's fine.
requested.
Yep, if you can get it out today, that would be the best.
No problem.
And then, Minnie, if that's okay, we'll talk about the processes for that all thing, and agenda item number 5, if that's okay.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, didn't mean
No,
to
that's okay.
derail it.
Nope, you're good. It's my job. Keep it on track. All right, Champion, you ready? Or sorry, before that, does anybody else have questions for the Prime Minister? Okay. Lucian,
Yeah, boss.
you are up. What's your council of war working on?
So far we've had one meeting, and it was actually a joint meeting with the Reeves Council. We kind of had one big field officer meeting to get everybody on the same page for sort of our plan for making the story of the rain theme unfold across the next 6 months. We came to the conclusion that we wanted local champions to be able to do what they will with their own local stories.
Okay.
And then the overarching kingdom story will unfold at either big events or those just generic kingdom days on the months we don't have events that you were talking about. Mm-hmm. And at questing across the state, as this is the summer rain, we're gonna try and get some questing done. We decided to follow a format similar to the one we did a couple years ago, where we did Astral Adventures, and all the questing across the state was sort of synchronized.
Okay.
With the exception that some field officers had some concerns with actually using the Astral Adventures rule set. So in the next couple weeks here, we're going to be working on basically making a revised version of Astral Adventures that is agreeable to all field officers, or at least the majority of field officers, and putting that out as sort of the upcoming quest book.
Cool.
That's pretty much where we're at right now. We've got meeting times set as the right now we're just meeting monthly. If there were a need, that could always be increased, but right now our meetings are set for the first Sunday of the month at 7 p.m. And that's what we have right now. Is there and anyone have any questions for me, or?
All right, I'm typing notes here real quick, but yeah, does anybody have any questions for the champion? Okay. I've got Let's see. I've got I had one note. So for the questing stuff, try not to get bogged down in like creating new rules. At least don't get it to the point where it delays you actually being able to do the questing part.
No, for sure. My vision at this point in time is to basically, there were only a couple specific sections of Astral Adventures that were disliked. Mostly the buying your equipment was the biggest concern. So we were looking at basically taking Astral Adventures and rewriting sort of the where you buy equipment and potentially using money towards like benefits for your faction throughout the reign. But
sure, and I'm gonna pause you for a second. I don't want you to take too much time, because honestly, I think I speak for everybody here when we say that we're comfortable with whatever it is you guys want to do as far as the questing stuff goes. I just want to caution that you don't like get bogged down in writing rules. Then we don't actually get to start until June, or something because of that. So just make sure that you are able to keep to an appropriate timetable and get everybody involved with what you want to do.
Yeah, no, for sure.
This will fly by real fast.
My only purpose in telling you that much was to tell you that that's about the only thing we need to change, so it won't take very long, and we'll be sure not to let it screw up the timetable.
Okay. All right. Anybody have any questions for the champion? Okay, champion, I'm going to ask you to hang out until after the GMR gives. Oh, go ahead if there's a question.
There is one questing event that is a kingdom-wide event, being the Frozen Odyssey event.
Yeah.
So we'll be appointing an autocrat to that. Does the champion, Lucian, do you have any plans on incorporating him, whoever that autocrat ends up being, into these plans for developing questing materials?
I guess it depends on what. I guess it depends on what we as a council want to do. So let's talk about that under events. That's agenda item number 6. We'll talk about the event bids. So put a pin in that, Blue, and don't forget it, and we'll chat about that when we get down there. Anybody else have questions for the champion? All right, so champion, I'm just going to hang out until after the GMR gives his reports, in case his report leads to any questions that you might be best suited to answer.
Yeah, I was planning on being around for the length of the meeting, so.
Hey, all right, sweet. So Richter is our GMR.
Can you guys hear me all right?
You sure can.
Okay, awesome. All right, so for the Council of Reeves, we've been working closely with the Council of War this reign, quite closely, in fact, with Lucian and I. And one of the things that we branch off from the Council of War would be the online Reeves testing and the refining of that. There's been a couple grammar things we've been fixing. There's been a couple ratifying issues. Going through that thing and making sure that it is 100% has been a big thing that I've been pushing to all of the Council of Reeves, and they've come back really good, in fact, suggestions and some fixes for that, and that has been done. In addition to that, we've also been providing, well, actually I should say the Council of Reeves has been providing support and helping each other learn the process of how the Reeves tests actually are given, so that there is less questions on how to actually implement these to anybody who wants to take the test.
Okay.
We're implementing, and this one comes towards our reign. We're talking the Star Wars reign. We're implementing working with Lucian, implementing fair sets of rules for in-game artifacts, using the Star Wars reign, trying to keep things theme set but not overbalanced, and doing our best to make sure that the game still remains competitive and fair for all sides, yet still giving reward for accomplishing the objectives that they're going to give. That's part of the goal. And that's really all I've got going on besides the meetings that we've been doing with Lucian, as well as we have an additional meeting on the 15th or the second weekend. I'm also aiming for Sundays as well. We're still setting that time set, but for right now, 100%, we are still the first weekend on Sundays with the Champions Council for meetings.
Okay. And
that's the end of my report.
Have you have you connected with the rules representative stuff?
Say that again, Gordon. I'm sorry. I had too much reverb on my headset there.
That's okay. Have you connected with the Antcard wide rules rep group?
I have not yet. I was supposed to get with you about that to get the information on where to.
Remind me, and let's try to have an update for that at the next meeting.
Okay.
All right, sweet. Okay, so let's see. I have a question for the council, sort of based on what the champion and the GMR have got going on here. So, are any of you guys trying to sort of guide the rain theme stuff locally? Are you comfortable letting your champion / GMR handle all that?
For the most part, my champion kind of took the reign on the story, and I'm not going to get in his way because he's doing a really good job of it.
Okay.
I completely trust my champion and GMR to handle these things appropriately because I have a lot of other things to handle. So I'm pretty happy to have the guys I got.
Yeah, the reason I bring it up is that this next few months are going to be really busy for us. It's a busy time of the year. So my suggestion was that we sort of just let the Council of War and Council of Reeves just run with all of this stuff so that we don't have to worry about it. And it sounds like they're doing a really good job of working together, which I'm really pleased with. To facilitate that, does the council have any issues with delegating magic item approval to them?
I would be okay with that with Pockets and Chris there handling that. I think they would manage to keep it balanced and all that stuff. So I'm good with my part there.
Okay. So
with this, are you talking about delegating like the option to give artifacts to the Council of War at large, or?
Well, it would have to. So my thought would be in this particular case that for the Star Wars reign to allow the kingdom champion and the kingdom GMR working together to either come up with and help distribute magic items across the kingdom, so that they can be given out and they can make appropriately fancy rain theme magic items, and then just oversee that whole process.
And
but
that's
essentially they would approve.
Correct.
Yes, and the reason I don't want to delegate it straight to the regional level is because I'd like the magic items to be usable in any region. So there needs to be some level of kingdom oversight so that you don't have one region flooding the market, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody oppose to that?
Not here.
Okay. All right. So then, Richter, Lucian, I'd like you guys to take over magic item distribution throughout the kingdom. Work with your councils on making that happen. I do have one request, and that is that you do not create anything that doesn't already exist in the rule book. Not as far as magic items go, but as far as abilities or rules.
So just reskin.
Yeah, you can reskin stuff if you want to make a magic item that gives somebody shove. That's great, whatever. But don't invent new abilities because that never works out well. People get confused and upset.
Yeah, that's always a disaster.
Yeah,
so
totally behind that.
Okay, cool. Then I'm going to leave that to you guys because your Council of Crowns is going to be super busy for the next few months. So take that, wrap it up in whatever you guys are doing with the theme, and you guys have delegated authority to run with it.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for the GMR or any of the other officers while they're here? Okay.
I am satisfied.
Perfect. In that case, Lucy and Richter, you're welcome to leave the meeting. If you would rather go do something else, you're also welcome to hang out and silently observe. I don't have a problem with that either. Prime Minister and Regent, you guys get to hang out no matter what. So,
if you would have, you'd be glad to stick around and hear this out to the end.
Yeah. As long as you mute yourself, you're good to go. All right. Moving on to the next agenda item is the calendar. So we I've got a very busy calendar coming up. This is when all of our craziness gets crazy. So I need you guys to work with your regions to have a calendar through August, maybe by next Sunday, that we could post that on the Facebook page. Do you guys think you'll be able to do that?
I think Loop and Moon officers have already discussed most of our major events coming up, so I think we can definitely get that on the calendar by next week.
Okay. Well, I don't want it on the calendar. I want it posted to the Facebook page so we can discuss it, clear up any conflicts, and then get it all polished before we put it on the calendar.
Excellent. Will do.
Okay. Excellent. Then that would include all of your park days, your ANS stuff, like all of your regular meeting stuff. I want to get that all polished on the calendar. Nice advertising there. I appreciate that.
It's all about product placement, man.
That's right.
Reggie's going to become an attraction. People, let's go get our picture taken with Reggie.
Right. Branding for life. All right. So, is there anybody that feels they will not be able to get that calendar posted by next Sunday night?
And you're just looking for tentative, like, this is an event we're doing. These are some dates I think it would be ideal.
No, like I want like we're gonna hold ANS on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. or whatever, and on May 3rd that's gonna change to Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Like I want your activity schedule all laid out so that we can get it on the calendar. And that might include big events, but I also want the little stuff in there because that's what you guys get paid for, is to keep track of the little stuff going on in your region, because no one else is going to pay attention to it. And then once we get that all worked out, the bigger events that don't have set dates, it'll be much easier to figure out where we're going to stick those, or at least come up with the appropriate times for them. And then we'll get those knocked out. Because within the next 2 weeks, we need to have the calendar up and polished and all of our event bids out, which means we need to know when we want to have those events. All right, so Icefire Bay, you gonna be able to do that?
I think Sage lost connection about 3 minutes ago or so.
Bummer, I didn't notice that. Okay, all right, we'll ping her offline if she can't get back on. So everybody else is gonna get those done for us, though. All right, so now we move on to February All Thing. So we've got really there's only 1 week left in February. We do have the one petition that Delhi put up that I'm pretty sure got certified that it had enough members, so we need to get that onto the online all thing section. And I'll put that up there. The only other issue we had is the all thing, the Prime Minister appointment in Frozen Coast, which happened today. And that went smoothly as far as I know. There wasn't any issues with that, right? Okay, Amanda, were the votes published for that?
Sorry. No, I have not published them yet. I will get those out as soon as we're done here.
Okay. So make sure those get posted publicly. And if you would post those into the Northreach All Things
Can
page.
do.
All right. That just help us to find them in the future if we ever need them. So the next thing we've got is the next weekend there is the All Thing that is technically being called by the board in Astral Winds to appoint a regional executive officer. Minibard, as the highest ranking kingdom official present, will be asked to run that All Thing. I do have a suggestion on how it should be run because there's 3 candidates still, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
My suggestion is that you have 2 votes, one to narrow it down to 2 finalists, and then do a runoff, as it were.
Is there a reason to nail it down to 2 finalists?
Because if we don't, then in theory somebody could win the election with only having the support of 34% of the populace. And so let's figure out who the top 2 are and then let the people decide who it is, so whoever wins has a clear majority vote in their favor.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, hopefully that'll avoid any drama. Not that there would be any, but just it helps to eliminate the possibility. So, Minnie, you're comfortable running that?
Yep, definitely.
Okay, cool. Amanda will get you the list, or she'll post it so everybody knows. Remember that because it's not an election, people can pay dues at the all thing to get, if that's all that would hold them back from voting, so that they can vote. And yeah. Is there anything else for the February all thing that you guys would like to have considered for me to put on there? All right, to be a quick all thing.
The petition by Delhi, was that the reduction in crown qualification stuff, or?
I think so. Yeah, I have to go back and read the actual wording of it. I don't remember what the actual wording was, but I'm pretty sure it was the crown quals thing.
All right.
So we'll go back and get that put up. All right. Anything else to discuss as far as the all thing goes for this month? All right, cool. So let's talk about the events we have coming up this year, and we need to get bids out for them. So what are the events we have coming up that we don't have autocrats for? We've got Solstice War, which is coming up pretty fast, right? We have the Ren Fair.
Do we need a autocrat for SenchiCon?
Yep.
I know it's a ways out, but obviously, if we want to do the Tanana Valley Fair up here in Fairbanks, like we probably should have an autocrat for that.
Okay. What's that's in September? August.
It's the same. It's like the weekend. The same weekend as the weekend after Wolf's Cry or something terrifying like that. So it just ends up bad timing, and so if we don't plan for it, it's not worth it.
Do we want to go ahead and add Wolf's Cry to this as well? I know you may mention that you want bids out 12 months in advance.
Yeah, ideally we want to try and have these out a year ahead of time, if not more, really.
Just go ahead and add Wolf's Cry to that too.
We have Dungeon Crawl. What is Frozen Odyssey again? Blue, what time of the year has that traditionally been held in? Is it June, July, May? If you're talking, we don't hear you. Anybody hear me?
Lucian, do you know the answer off the top of your head since you're Proco and you're here?
I just looked at it. It looks like
he says end of June, beginning of July. So we're going to call that June.
I think last year they were held July 8th and 9th.
Okay, well then I'll put July in there. All right, and then what other events do we have?
Ice Star Bay has a questing event.
They do. I don't know if we've designated that as a kingdom one. If that's just a local event of theirs, then we'll assume that they get to autocrat it. Because we didn't set up a separate budget for it or anything.
Do you think it's worth, I don't know what to call it, like having there be some sort of official Northreach clanocrat, you know what I mean, that kind of like coordinates rides and does that kind of stuff, like, or I mean, you know.
I mean, we've done that before. I don't know if I would do that as an event bid, but we might appoint somebody like, you know, Caravan Master or something. Ask them to help coordinate.
Yeah, I mean that probably makes more sense. I was just thinking of it along the lines of like largish events that are important to us, you know.
Sure, I'm added that to the agenda because it's a great idea. I can do that. So all right, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, 8 events. 8 events that we need to get bids for here in the near future. There's a couple of small events. Actually, I'm going to add them in here too. I don't remember what time they are, but there's also the Highland Games. And then there's a bunch of little events that we've talked about doing too. And I guess we kind of
What
have
about
those.
the Nilchik State Fair they do down in the Nilchik?
Yeah, I'm going to put those under new events, which we're going to talk about in a few minutes here.
All right.
There's a handful of those. Those are events we've never done before. Well, actually, we did in Nilchik once, didn't we? Lucien, do you know? Did we do that before? I think we've done it once. Oh, yeah. Blue says that we did it, but it didn't go very well.
The state fair on there? I didn't see it there.
Oh, no, it's not. It's not, but it probably should be. Okay. So I am going to throw together some requests for bids. I've actually, after some of the, we just started doing the bid process, you know, about a year ago, and I think that perhaps our bids have been a little too specific, and I think I would like to make them a little more general, so that if somebody has an idea that isn't exactly what we did before, that they would have the room to propose, you know, a different format for the event, maybe, and that would give us something to consider, but give them a little more freedom in how the event might go. So I'm going to write up some draft bids over the next week or so to send to you guys so that we can get these out and about soon. So does anybody have any questions, comments, or anything to add on the event stuff, the event bids?
Gideon's added here, Bear Paw Festival and Eagle River was suggested, but I think that's the next topic. So
yeah, that's going to go under item number 8. So don't forget that, Gideon. Okay, so I wanted to sort of discuss a little bit what we're doing with fundraising, and not as in I'm going to tell you guys what we're doing, but like we need to talk about what we want to do. We have 2 major fundraisers, and that is the Renaissance Fair and the State Fair. We need to, or it's our objective to increase the number of fundraising opportunities we have. So we need to figure out how we want to approach that. Now, one of the things that we're doing differently this year is we've removed sword sales as a budget item for each event and made it its own budget item. And the idea is that we will put somebody in charge of making swords, and then we just have swords for whatever events we might be able to sell them at. So that's one way that we're trying to change the fundraising approach a little bit. But I wanted to see what you guys thought. If you had any ideas, or if you had a chance to let that concept percolate. Has anything amazing come up yet?
I'll have to get back to you on that one. All my fundraising ideas come involved with Northreach being a household name. So,
all right, that's fair. So we're definitely going to work on more opportunities to sell swords, and I'd like to set up a smaller, like, mobile arena solution, so that we could set up, you know, an easy arena at just about any event that shows up. So whether it's something like the Bear Paw Festival, like Gideon mentioned, or the Nilchik Fair or whatever, it's super easy. 2 people can just go and set it up and run it, and it doesn't cost much in either manpower or in funds. I think that would be an ideal way to do that.
Were you thinking just something that's big enough to fit on like the back of a trailer that you pull behind your car?
I'm actually trying even smaller. I'm trying to think of something I can get broken down into an action packer.
Gotcha.
So, because then it would fit in the back seat of just about any car. And so literally 2 people in one car could, even if it's like a Ford Fusion or something, could bebop down to a small event and do a small arena and have everything they need for it. That might cost us some money initially, but I think that that would be worth it. So Blue mentioned that we should keep a supply of swords in each region, and that's exactly the idea. We just need to appoint one person to oversee that whole process, keep track of how many swords we've made, manage the budget, etc. Because if we try to split that up between all of us, I don't imagine it's going to go really well during the busy season. We had a lot of other stuff to keep track of. So. All right. So there's one thing that has come up, and I meant to post a link to you guys, and maybe I'll have to do that later. I'll post a link to everybody because this is more of a kingdom-wide thing. So many years ago, I did a fundraiser and said, "Hey, I want to build a castle. Give me your money and we'll build a castle." And so a bunch of people donated a whole lot of money, and we built a castle. It's the one we still use at Wolf's Cry. So a really, really innovative amped garter. I'm just wondering if I can find his name here. Has come. He created this really cool item for arts and sciences competition, and it's an electronic game objective that looks like a.
Oh, that thing is so cool.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a Dalek in rough shape, or a miniature lighthouse. But it sits, more than waist high. It's got a big light up windows on the top that change colors. And then it's got a couple of big buttons on it that are like arcade style buttons, so that you can run up, or almost like game show buzzer style buttons. So a player could run up and hit the button or hold the button down for X number of seconds, etc., to capture the objective, which would then set off a big noise and change the color of the objective. These things are actually run by a small computer inside of it, and there are dozens of different game modes that can be programmed into it. They can be used as life counters. They can be used as nodes to capture. They can be used for all kinds of things. And I want to raise some money to buy a bunch of them. I think every region should have 2 of these things. So I've been chatting with the gentleman about how we can make that work, because obviously we don't want to try and ship something huge up here. That might be prohibitively expensive. But the computer parts and all of the lights and everything fit into essentially what is the top, 6 or 8 inches of it, and the rest of it's just a big plywood shell to make it look cool. So he's agreed to make just the top parts, and then we can build the bodies for him. And the price for them, for the most deluxe version of it, which is waterproof and has really big speakers and comes with a really nice battery that he says will run for about 25 hours, is $350, which I think for this sort of thing is actually pretty reasonable. And so I want to find some ways to raise some money, whether that be through internal or external fundraising, to buy a bunch of these, because if some people showed up, if we were playing in like the Dome or the gym or whatever, and people came in and saw us using these, it would definitely up our presentation, and it just ups Amtgard in general, because then our Reeves are more focused on the game itself rather than on counting lives or trying to see who captured an objective, etc. So Minibar just posted a link to it. Minibar, would you also just post that to the Northreach page so that people that are listening at home can see what it is I'm rambling on about? These things right here. Yeah, these things right here are like a physical manifestation of like this is the level Amtgard should be at, right? And they're pretty sweet. So take a look at those when you have a second, and know that we're going to be talking about how we can buy some of those, because I'll buy 2 of them out of pocket right now, because they're that freaking cool. But realistically, I would love it if every region had 2.
Did you get a price tag on what it might be to have one of those just with the basic lights, or at least the wiring and the computer, and then we build our own?
Yeah, that was the $350.
Oh, that was the 300. Okay,
and that was
that was for the deluxe model.
Well, it is the deluxe model, but it's deluxe because it has a bigger battery that's AC powered for charging. It's got 20-watt speakers in it. It's got bigger, brighter LEDs, and everything's weatherproofed on it, so we could use it out in the rain. The basic model's $150, and it comes with like no weatherization, no sound, a lighter battery that's like 4 AA's, and those sorts of things, and that would be, I think, not as satisfying. I would rather just pay to have something that will be amazing.
I really would be super interested in taking one of those suckers apart, because I know at least up in Fairbanks, like we have access to just 3D printers and electrical engineering majors galore, and we may be able to rebuild. We may be able to build one of those pretty cheaply. I would be intrigued. I don't want to shortchange some poor entrepreneurial amp garter that has made something incredible, though. At the same time, I
would much rather support this guy's innovation, but we can also look at that too. And maybe we work with him to just buy like certain parts and software, and then we make, like I'm sure he doesn't care that much about the housing, that it's in or anything like that. And so we might be able to work with him, and because shipping is going to be a big deal. And
I really want to see something like this for Phoenix League that includes pyrotechnics or like a confetti jet like cannon or something like that.
That'd be pretty sweet, and we need to make that happen because I want confetti cannons. I want a confetti cannon every time somebody scores. That's awesome. All right. So that was some of the stuff that I was just chatting about with fundraising. So we're going to be chatting about that stuff online a lot in the near future. I really just need all of you guys to engage as often as possible, and try to make us make lots of money. Anything else anyone wants to bring up on fundraising?
Oh, sorry, I actually just typed this in.
I see it there. Sorry.
I had a request. Apparently, the Northleaf Castle has some broken beams and warped boards, and he was hoping to get a fundraiser in to kind of give the castle a facelift.
Well, we can totally do that, and that won't even be expensive. That can come out of either discretionary funds or even out of the Wolf's Cry event fund. We usually put a couple $100 in there for castle upkeep, so we can look at how much we've got set up for that and what sort of repairs. If the player that brought it up is familiar with what he thinks those repairs might be, see if we can figure out in general what that might cost, and we can totally make that happen.
Will do. I'll follow up.
Excellent. Anything else for fundraising, guys? Okay, so let's talk about new events real quick. We'll try and speed this meeting along here. So someone mentioned the Bear Paw Festival. Is that you, Gideon?
Yeah, that actually came from Drake, my champion, and it looks like the dates for that are July 11th through the 15th. And then I also, since the Highland Games were mentioned, I found the date for that. That is June 30th.
Okay. Anybody else have a new event they want to consider adding to the calendar this year? Nothing?
If we come up with something else, I mean, like being Pockets brought up the pirate pub crawl, but that's kind of just a fun thing to do rather than something that we would need an autocrat for or something like that. But it is a way to get us out there and be like, hey, we LARP, things like that.
It's not new, but the Procrastinators Fair, or not the 4th of July, in Kenai. I know we don't have that on here.
4th of July?
And then
well, you guys did it last year, didn't you?
We've done
that should go under the regular
2 or
ones.
3 years.
Yep. And we didn't have a separate budget for that because it was small enough to fall under the small events budget. But we should add it here.
I keep saying Procrastinators, but I'm getting it wrong. It's the Progress Day Parade, which is July 28th. That's in Soldotna. And then immediately after, on the 29th, is a bunch of vendors' booths. Yeah, Progress Day.
Okay. So With these new events here, I'm putting you guys in charge of figuring out the information necessary for them and how we might be involved and what that might cost and like logistical things. Anybody else got anything? Minibar, we got the Tananoff Fair. Is there anything else up at Fairbanks that you guys want to take a shot at this year, do you think?
I mean, there's like the actual like solstice events and stuff like that that happen up here. That would probably timing would probably work out. I haven't done any research into dates on those yet, though.
All right. Well, I just assigned that to you. So, all right. So we can amend this if you guys come up with new event ideas, or if just something lands on your radar that we need to do. Let's take a look at it. Okay. So we talked a little bit about sword sales. So what I envision is that that I appoint a guildmaster of smiths to oversee the construction of the swords across the entire kingdom, as well as the management of the sword budget. So
would that be guildmaster of engineers?
Yes, you're actually correct. I don't know why I typed.
Okay. The other thing is, in the newbie barbecue, I think we have planned for June 16th. I'm actually digging through my top 5 page here.
Yeah, that would be the correct weekend. It's the 3rd weekend in June. So
is that on there?
I mean, that's just when it always is. It's the weekend after Ren Fair. Ren Fair is always the first 2 weekends.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Does anybody have any issues with appointing a guildmaster of engineers to do that?
I don't have a problem with it. I think that that goes to many, though, doesn't it?
I don't know. Does it? Maybe.
I think Guildmaster Engineers is a Kingdom Region thing.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at Midnight Sun Festival dates. I was kind of lost track what you guys were talking about. However, it is June 24th.
No. I'm gonna write that down.
I was trying to add it to the agenda, but I couldn't. Sorry. So, Guildmaster of Engineers. Is that a region thing? I do not know. Let me look in the document that I conveniently have open already.
If it
is, yeah, that totally is me.
Okay. Do you have any problems with me sort of absconding with that position for this project?
Would it matter if I said no?
Well, I would. I would just call it something else then.
Just kidding. No, right, no. Go abscond away.
But I mean, if you already have plans for a Guildmaster of Engineers, then I would figure out something else. But since we don't have any plans for it, I would just use it for this project. Okay. So this will be sort of a trial run. If this works really well, then hopefully we'll just do this going forward. And my goal right now is for our council to sort of iron out as much of this stuff as possible to make the next king or queen and the next council's jobs that much easier. So, so I will post a request for applicants for that essentially. And then I will also do the same thing for a caravan master, which is someone to help coordinate travel for the big events that we want to do this year. Clan is one of them. I know there's a lot of people that want to go to Keep. I'm not sure. Do we want to make a kingdom push for that? Or do we just want to focus on Clan?
I'd rather focus on Clan personally.
Okay. Cool. Let's do that. I'll have the caravan master focus on Clan and make Keep sort of a secondary thing. All right, so now we're down to regional concerns. We're going to wrap this meeting up almost in exactly an hour, which is pretty sweet. Minibar, do you mind representing? Is there anything going on in Astro Winds that the council needs to be aware of?
Other than the all thing vote for the new monarch, nope. And
okay.
Then we'll have to coordinate like other pro tem appointments after that. So
correct. There'll be a whole bunch of them. So but help facilitate that and just keep everything, keep the council informed of what's going on. And I'm sure it'll be a smooth settling. Ravenstone? Anything the council needs to discuss for your region?
Nothing at the moment. Mainly right now we are we're kind of in the process of working on a few different projects. Nothing that's really done enough to bring it up yet, but I know that most of my officers have at least something that they're kind of working on the side.
Okay.
But, nothing pressing.
Perfect. Lupa Moon.
Mostly just deciding on the options that we presented ourselves as far as whether we're going to move to the Dome this year or whether we're going to shoot for October. But that's still kind of up in the air, but we are continuing to work on it.
Okay.
So it sounds like we might have to wait until October for the Dome, but so
Okay.
be it. I mean, that's just how things go.
Sounds good. Frozen Coast?
Can you hear me now or not?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay. We're doing pretty great. We had our PM had to step down, so we appointed a new PM, and we're pushing really hard for recruitment of new players, trying to get some fresh blood in, trying to push hard, particularly toward younger generation, because that's kind of where we're lacking right now as a park, is 14 to 18. So we're looking for that's the kind of demographic that we're pushing hard for. I would love to get some advice from Ravenstone, who has a lot of kids, and maybe even Icefire
I
Bay, how they recruit them. So
But kind of in flight at the moment.
it's kind of what I'm looking at now.
Okay. And Icefire Bay is still offline, right?
I think so.
Okay. All right. Does anybody else have anything for the council this evening?
If I could actually move a bit backwards.
Yeah.
I just had another member pop in with a few more events that we might look at. The Girdwood Forest Fair, which is June
Oh, right.
8th, and the Anchorage Kids Day, which is April 21st. There's potential opportunities. I think most of those would be in Loop and Moon's backyard.
What was the dates on the Forest Fair?
That is June 6th through June 8th.
Ooh. The same weekend as the Ren Fair?
I want to say that's the same weekend as Frozen Odyssey, isn't it?
No, they do theirs in July.
Okay.
The 8th, yeah, it's the second weekend of the Ren Fair.
Yeah.
But if it's the 6th through the 8th, then that's a Wednesday through a Friday. No. Yeah.
Oh, July, excuse me. It's July, not June.
Ah, okay. So that would be the same weekend as Frozen Odyssey then. That doesn't mean that we can't run it. But I'll put Hunter in charge of gathering some information for that one. And then what was the other one?
The Anchorage Kids Day. It's like April 21st.
Okay.
That's right around the corner.
Yep.
I will look into that one as well.
Yeah, just see what sort of activities it is and if there's anything we can do to, be positively engaged with that. All right. So if you guys see any other new events, feel free to just post them to the Facebook page and we will chat about them and assign them to somebody to research further. Anybody else got anything for the council? Regent or Prime Minister, do you guys have anything that you'd like us to consider?
Nothing here.
Okay.
Not at this time.
All right, then great job, everybody. It's 9:14. We'll go ahead and call this meeting done. And I'd like to thank you all for your time.
You guys have a good night.
Yep. Blue, you want to go ahead and unlive us?